more about when the Lime Tree Bay Refinery on St. Croix in the U.S. Virgin Islands could reopen. New documents obtained from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency show it could take months before things return to normal. And our Washington correspondent Matt Knadler has been doing some digging into that for us.
Officials from the EPA here in Washington tell me they shut down the Lime Tree Bay Refinery as a matter of public safety after several incidents in recent months spewing oil and other pollution into the community. We've obtained a 45-page document explaining what it would take to restore operations at the refinery. The EPA says Lime Tree Bay officials will have 56 days to submit a detailed plan addressing how they will eliminate pollution with what the EPA calls an expeditious schedule for implementing a plan. 56 days means operations would likely return in mid-July at the earliest. The Lime Tree is then required to give the EPA no more than 24 hours notice once they resume operations. The refinery was shut down last Friday, May 14th, after a series of environmental incidents and what the Biden administration calls public health risks. They are now monitoring the air and other health issues near the refinery and are working with the USVI government to ensure public health and ultimately reopen the facility. In a statement, an EPA spokesperson tells me recent air emission incidents at and near Lime Tree Bay are unacceptable. EPA is working to lend relief and assistance to this community, which in recent months has experienced incidents that have been unsettling and have even made some people sick. Lime Tree could face fines of more than $48,000 per day per violation if they fail to comply with the EPA. In Washington, Matt Knadler, One Caribbean News.
Well, children over 12 years old can finally get the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine in Puerto Rico. And today, our Elias Quinones brings us a full report from the vaccine centers.
After being out of those schools for more than a year, minors are finally being part of this vaccination process. In Puerto Rico, children from 12 to 17 years old are being vaccinated with Pfizer.
We are very comfortable with the parents. They come with kids to get their shot at the vaccine, and they move so far exactly like elderly people. They come, and we asking to the boys and girls why they get the vaccine, and they say, I want to go to my school, I want to go to play with my friends, I want to go to the party, I want to go to go away from Puerto Rico. Así que it's very clear what they want. I think the kids, the one population, they have more impact for the pandemic.
Now that the elderly and adults are pretty much covered, and now also the kids are contributing to the general statistics of inoculated population, what is happening to the group in the middle? Rodriguez points out that the population between 19 and 35 years old is representing quite a challenge since they tend to feel invincible.
It's the population right now out in the streets, and they go to the party or go to the chinchorreo and other things, but we need they move to get the vaccines to make the herd immunity, definitely.
300,000 minors from 12 to 17 years old have gotten their shot in just 1 week, and they seem to really be aware of why they are doing it.
I took the vaccine because I didn't want to infect my family with the virus, and I want to see my friends again.
Jadiel also has a message for every kid out there.
I would tell them to breathe in and then breathe out, and to believe himself.
Did it hurt?
No, it didn't.
Other kids like Brandy understand the need of this protection in order to go back to school and hang out with their friends. It is expected for minors to be back on campus under their schools by September 2021. Reporting from Puerto Rico, Alanis Quinones.
Well, meantime, Guyana's Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony, has revealed that the majority of the more than 1,800 active COVID-19 cases in the country are between people the ages of 18 and 39. And he says while more youths are becoming infected, they are the most hesitant to get vaccinated. Now, the health minister said that he believes that more youths are becoming infected because they are the ones who are out and about the most.
The challenge that we have is that for most of this age group, they might have milder form of the disease. Although we have been seeing a few cases where some younger people are getting infected coming into the hospital, and we've had a few deaths in the age range between 30 to 40. We've had a few deaths. And therefore, we want people to also understand that they need to come out and get their vaccines as well. And we want to urge them to make use of the opportunity, because vaccines are available throughout the country if they can come out and get their vaccines so that they can protect themselves.
And Guyana's COVID-19 vaccination campaign has been boosted with the donation of 5 ultra-high, low-temperature freezers from the United States Embassy on Monday. Health Minister Dr. Anthony says the government is pleased with the donation, and he says it serves a critical role in expanding the country's vaccination storage capabilities.
We are indeed very happy today because we have received these minus 80 freezers. And as you know, one of the most important components of managing vaccines is that you have to get an adequate cold storage system in place.
Well, significant spread of COVID-19 has forced communities in the Bahamas back into lockdown. In One Caribbean News, Deandra Hamilton tells us just how bad the virus has become in parts of the Bahamas and the strict measures the government's taking to get it under control.
Monday was a public holiday in the Bahamas. Monday was also back to lockdown for 2 major island communities after an outbreak of COVID-19, which drove active cases to 33 for Cat Island, with a spike also recorded for North and Central Andros. They joined Great Harbor Key, which days before had activity halted by the country's prime minister.
In order to protect and to save lives and to slow and control the spread of the COVID-19 today, I wish to announce that Cat Island and North and Central Andros will be placed under a 14-day lockdown.
Prime Minister Hubert Minnis, battered by his critics for instituting yet another full-fledged lockdown, said it would be irresponsible for him not to dramatically minimize activity. Residents have had to be medically evacuated from Cat Island. The Bahamas Family Islands offer only primary and not emergency health care.
Only the most reckless and heartless people would recommend the removal of measures that save lives.
The national address on Sunday involved lead consultant on the vaccine rollout, Dr. Mercelyn Dahl-Regis. She talked about the uptake of the vaccine, saying it's on target and reducing chronic cases.
A total of 50,242 doses of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine have been administered to Bahamians and residents.
Coronavirus is still taking a toll on the Bahamas. The Atlantis Resort, the country's second largest employer, announced 700 layoffs last week as the sprawling property on Paradise Island defended that it has to make hard decisions in order to recover from the plunge of travel and tourism. And now only essential activities will be permitted for the next 2 weeks in parts of the Bahamas. The Bahamas' Dr. Prime Minister said taking the vaccine is akin to stepping up in a hurricane crisis.
COVID-19 is a killer.
The U.S. Virgin Islands classical music hit the highest notes in St. Thomas this past weekend, showcasing the territory's top classical talent. Now, it was a musical presentation by the Caribbean Music Institute Orchestra under the direction of Grammy Award-winning musician and Virgin Islander Dion Parson, along with several world-renowned artists. And reporter Ali Born-Vanek brings us more.
It has been an incredible night at the Forum fundraiser. This has been an opportunity to support not only the Forum, but also to support the Caribbean Music Institute Orchestra and really just enjoy live classical music here in our Virgin Islands community with local musicians. Let's check it out. I'm here with Dion Parson. Dion, how are you doing?
I am great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How incredible was it to be on the stage with so many wonderful musicians in our community? How was it like for you?
This is a dream come true for me because being from the Virgin Islands, born and raised, going away, traveling, making music my career and doing so many great things around the world, coming back home and to put this project together, it's part of like my world that I've done, like global experience in the Virgin Islands. And a lot of times we import so many things. We import talent, we import food, we import everything. And for me, it's really good to see homegrown musicians performing on a global scale.
It was incredible watching you and everybody jam up there on stage. How important is it to have wonderful artistic musical events like this in the Virgin Islands?
Well, here in the Virgin Islands, let me tell you, the music education program in the Virgin Islands is really very successful. It's one of the most successful programs that we have had in the year. Of course, it's been developing over the years, and I've always tell people that music is actually the ictus. This is what pulled all the other academic subjects together. So music is definitely a very important part in the education of young people.
What are some of the things that the community can look forward to coming up?
Well, this is the Caribbean Music Institute Orchestra. That's the start of a mega project with this 21st Century Band with VIA Jazz Collective and VIA Youth Ensemble that's going to build towards a real export product, because big bands are traveling around the world, and we're going to let the world know that the Virgin Islands has a lot of talent.
That it does. Nicole, is there anything else that you would like to share?
No, I just want to thank everybody, you included. Everybody was amazing. I mean, if you look at the tables, the people, everybody's happy. So I want to thank the community for always supporting the young people and all the companies that were here that always support us. I'm just amazed.
You've been such a huge supporter in this community for so many years. What was it like seeing some of the young folks on stage, being able to perform and have this moment where they're able to show their craft?
I have known that Dion is working with the UVI kids and even pre-UVI high school kids, and I did not realize until tonight how good they have become. It's exciting to see the talent that he has harnessed and put together and how much they enjoy what they're doing.
It's life-changing.
Exactly. Life-changing is the right word for it, yeah.
And from the forum and this event, you can look forward to seeing more live events, more classical music right here in our community.
Well, while most industries have managed to slowly start to turning their wheels again, there is one industry that has yet to recover, the cruise industry. And today, our Alanis Quinones brings us a full report on a new campaign recently launched called Ready, Set, Sail.
As much as all of us have been affected by the COVID pandemic, both personally, professionally, and as an industry, there is no segment of our industry that has been dealt a more severe blow than the cruise industry.
This is a claim of the tourism and cruise lines industry after more than a year of losses. The cruise industry voluntarily suspended operations in March 2020. Then the CDC issued suspension orders and later on conditional sale orders that they claim weren't clear to begin with. Cruise lines now launch a campaign called Ready, Set, Sail, which is a call to action for the CDC asking them to allow the 90-day process it takes to resume operations by summer.
Our rationale for this was simple. Over the past 8 months, a highly controlled resumption of cruising has continued in Europe, Asia, and the South Pacific, with nearly 400,000 passengers sailing to date in more than 10 major cruise markets. These voyages were successfully completed with industry-leading protocols that have effectively mitigated the spread of COVID-19. Additional sailings are planned in the Med and the Caribbean later this summer. In fact, cruising from Greece just began this week. The very small fraction of reported COVID cases that have occurred on these ships since last July prove that the protocols that we have in place work as intended.
The industry claims the outdated conditional sale order, as they described it, which was issued more than 7 months ago, does not reflect the proven advancements of the industry nor the benefit vaccines add to the equation.
For too long, as many of you know, the cruise industry in the United States has been the only industry that has been expressly prohibited from operating, even as other industries have either been able to open up or even those that have been able to continue operating throughout the pandemic. Needless to say, this has had a significant impact on jobs, as the cruise industry generates almost 500,000, in fact, 450,000 U.S. jobs that generates $56 billion in economic impact for the United States annually.
most of which CLIA highlights extend beyond the cruise lines and include, in a ripple effect, independent business owners employed by small and medium businesses that include, for example, travel agents, taxi drivers, baggage handlers, as well as airlines, hotels, and restaurant workers.
Due to this suspension, more than 350,000 of those jobs have been lost in the United States. These jobs have been lost because nearly 14 million cruisers who would normally sail from U.S. ports have been prevented from sailing due to either the no sail order or now the conditional sail order.
The protocols they've established in the plan include a commitment to vaccinate at least 90% of the passengers and crew, requirement of 100% testing, and increased ventilation. Reporting from Puerto Rico, Alanis Quiñones.
Well, we start today with an awesome story. Our Alanis Quiñones has a very special interview today titled Beyond the Crown, a one-on-one interview with Miss Universe Puerto Rico.
A young Puerto Rican woman that speaks 4 languages and has lived in 6 countries of the world decided to represent Puerto Rico in the Miss Universe beauty pageant and made it to the top 10 finalists. But beyond the crown, her solid background, her cultural context, and the compromise she had with the people make her an icon and a role model for so many.
Estefanía Soto, Puerto Rico. I think it's all about being aware of diversity, and I'm talking about diversity of languages, diversity of cultures, foods, because it's very specific. When you talk to someone from another culture, you get to know how they perceive the world. And when you get to know that, then you are suddenly more sensitive and sensible when it comes to facing different things that are not the way that you're used to eat or speak or to relate with other people. So I think that's a very good tool when you go into such a huge platform of multicultural environments where girls are coming from different places around the world.
Her modeling career had an early start, having her first fashion show at only 11 years old. Around the age of 16, the movie The Interpreter made her discover a passion for languages and multiculturalism, which led her to study a bachelor's degree in foreign languages and a master on intercultural mediation. As a representative of the Puerto Rican woman, she acknowledges the gender violence wave happening on the island.
I would give the person space as well, and I would understand the process. You know, sometimes when we talk about women that are in these kinds of situations, the first thing to say is, oh, if that were me, I would be, you know, going away as soon as I can. It's not that easy, and I think we need to recognize that and be okay with that. And we have to learn to listen to the victims, we have to believe them, and we have to promote spaces and projects and systems that would allow them to have a safe space. And I think the Miss Universe platform is something and a space where I can talk about that and maybe inspire other people to just educate themselves.
This, along with other social topics, are part of her constant involvement with the community through her podcast and social media. By September, Estefania will be passing on the crown for the next Miss Universe Puerto Rico, and she has a message for every woman considering to participate.
The first thing that I would say is to keep in mind that this is a business, and that as a woman you really need to find your message and your style and how you want to portray yourself. And if you are able to do that, it doesn't really matter the results of the competition, as long as you stay true to yourself, as long as you are able to speak up for your own, but also to be able to collaborate with other people and learn from the people that in the business industry, like they really know how it is done to be a queen.
Puerto Rico.
Make sure to look her up in the social media and follow her through her new adventures. Reporting from Puerto Rico, Alanis Quiñones.
And more than 50,000 COVID-19 vaccines have been administered in the Bahamas. This as the country works to combat a rise in COVID-19 cases. And our One Caribbean News, Deandra Hamilton, has the latest on efforts to get shots in the arms of Bahamians.
While the Bahamas has managed to get through 50,000 shots, or 58% of its COVID-19 vaccines, with first jabs administered, second shots are way down, barely past 6,000, hence the shift to mass vaccinations, which are now happening at sites around the country. The data came on Sunday when Dr. Mercelin Dal-Regis, special health advisor to the Prime Minister, joined him for a national update.
A total of 50,242 doses of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine have been administered to Bahamians and residents on New Providence, Grand Bahama, and throughout the Family Islands.
Dr. Dal Regis explains the committee managing the rollout is pleased with the process, and over the coming days, some 11,000 shots are expected to be given as the Bahamas works through its 87,200 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine.
Following a successful rollout in the Family Islands last month, we expect to start administering second doses in the islands during the month of June, in accordance with the recommended 8 to 12 week spacing between doses.
9 weeks into vaccinations, the Bahamas, through the COVAX facility, is expected to get more vaccines, some 33,600 by the end of the month. The vaccine, said Dr. Dal Regis, is working to reduce infections and chronic cases of the coronavirus.
The data show that the vaccine campaign there is working. If you follow the track of the yellow case, the incident and cumulative cases by epi-week.
Taking the vaccine has been highest among the retired and unemployed. Healthcare, government workers, uniformed branches, domestic and construction workers fall somewhere in the middle of the uptake chart produced by the Ministry of Health, and agriculture sector workers have been least administered the vaccine.
The number of COVID cases in Puerto Rico is going down, but in not so good news, so are the number of vaccinations. And to help combat that, officials in Puerto Rico have opened up a vaccination clinic in the center of the airport. And our Alanis Quinones brings us this next story.
With the purpose of accelerating the vaccination process in the road to herd immunity, the National Guard and the Health Department are placing new strategies to make the vaccine more accessible for the people. The most recent place this is happening is the airport.
Please do not leave your vehicle unattended or parked on the terminal road.
This is one of our efforts to vaccinate in Puerto Rico. What we're doing here is we're outreaching to the citizens of Puerto Rico and those citizens that are not from Puerto Rico to come in and vaccinate as they arrive in Puerto Rico. Our theme is vaccinate for you, for yourselves, and for the people of Puerto Rico.
Everybody, with no exception, can get vaccinated in this center, no matter if they are residents of the island or not. Because of this, the vaccine that is being used is the one from Johnson & Johnson for its one-shot benefit, meaning that for the moment, children can get vaccinated in this center.
That's what we're using because we cannot keep track of, the whereabouts and for the second vaccine. So we're using the Janssen vaccine for this effort.
As part of the efforts, the plan is to expand these types of centers to other airports like the ones in Mayagüez and Ponce. But since their flights run on different schedules, the plan is to adjust according to the flights coming in. Plazas are also being part of the plan. For example, La Placita de Santurce will be vaccinating Thursday through Sunday from 2 in the afternoon until 7 at night. But the question is, when is herd immunity expected to arrive? Your personal opinion, or in the National Guard's, would you say herd immunity will be reached by September, as they're saying?
Actually, we're looking more at the July time frame. We're targeting the 31st July, but if need be, we'll be extending until September.
The goal is to keep established centers like this to make the vaccine more accessible and hopefully to reach herd immunity by the end of summer or the beginning of September. Reporting from Puerto Rico, Alanis Quinones.
And another big batch of Pfizer COVID-19 vaccines are on their way to the Turks and Caicos Island. Now the rollout is going much better as the British territory works to vaccinate its residents and achieve herd immunity. And our One Caribbean News' Deandra Hamilton reports.
From trending behind to trending ahead, the Minister of Health in a recent media debrief confirmed that the Turks and Caicos Islands have already ordered the fourth batch of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccines from the United Kingdom because the country is safely through the third batch.
So by all intents and purposes, Salt Cay is fully vaccinated. South Caicos, 457. North and Middle Caicos, 418. Parrot Key, 253, and Providenciales, 17,217 cases, but it's not cases, 17 persons have received at least one dose of the vaccine. So that allows us to achieve a 59% penetration rate in terms of the vaccine of at least one dose.
A month ago, the talk was different, and concern was expressed that the third batch could be wasted if not used by the end of June. Not a problem anymore.
we're ahead of target. We will now not only finish batch 3, we're now faced with how quickly we can get batch 4 in, because we've got a high uptake, and you know that this is a 2-dose vaccine, and so we have to ensure that we have enough doses for the persons.
Though the actual population count for the Turks and Caicos Islands remains an elusive figure, the goal of 70% adults vaccinated is more within reach, said Deputy Premier E.J. Saunders, with 44% of adults fully vaccinated and 59% having had their first dose. Now, 20,733 individuals have been administered at least one jab, according to the latest Ministry of Health vaccine dashboard, and the uptake is helping.
As islands get to that 70%, we're going to open it up for them. If we hit 70% overall, before that we'll open up the whole economy.